So today I have the pleasure of inviting Winnie and Gloria, two ladies I really look up to and I've had the pleasure of working alongside with great insights. So as they come in, Gloria is the director at Trademark Africa. She has over 25 years of experience. She's previously worked as a banker, worked with the UNDP and now at Trademark Africa. Winnie Oko is the CEO and founder of Lattice, Nairobi, and she's worked in Africa, the US and Europe. And with those few remarks, ladies, karibuni sana. So maybe I'll start with you, Winnie. Just introduce yourself to us once more, and then what Lattice does and what that involves, how that plays in terms of trade.
Thank you very much, Liz, and thank you for inviting us to this forum. I am blown away by the passion shown by the two panels before us. It's amazing to see the youth speaking out and the banks just having a chance to showcase their products. So like Liz said, my name is Winnie Oko. I have been in Lattice for 23 years. So where are my 4 years, 4 months entrepreneurs? There's actually a pathway to success if you persevere. What Lattice does, we say we create and share prosperity by solving consequential problems. So we want when we show up, everybody feels they'll be better off. Businesses are better off, our clients are better off, the donor agencies we represent are better off. That's what we're about. And why are we in trade? Did you know that more than half of everybody employed in Kenya is employed in trade? That is wholesale and retail. More than half. So when you talk about jobs, they're actually in trade. And then if you zoom out and look at the whole of Africa, 70% of all cross-border trade is done by women. So if you want to move the needle in terms of jobs, in terms of value creation, and you're not in trade, I'm not quite sure. So that's why we are very proud to work in the trade space. Now, as I was watching the first panel with the young entrepreneurs, it actually brought to my mind the statistics that we hear about. They say the 70% was mirrored. How many women were there on that panel? Were you 3? And how many men? You see the 70%. The other thing they say is that the reason why men-led businesses, one of the reasons why men-led businesses do better than women-led businesses is because men tend to have multiple businesses and women only one. So when this business is doing well and the other one is not doing well, you can actually cross-subsidize, isn't it? And then you live to tell the tale. So it was very interesting to see those dynamics displayed in the panel. Sorry, Liz, you only asked me one question.
Gloria?
Good afternoon all. My name is Gloria Teire from Trademark Africa. Trademark Africa is an 11-year-old organization, really with the mission to promote African countries. So we used to be in East Africa before, now we are across the whole continent. The idea is for us to trade with each other. Africa trades a lot with the rest of the world and very little with each other. So our role really is to reduce those barriers and really promote trade. Because we're a big market, we are over 1 billion people in this continent. We need to do more trade with each other.
Okay, thank you. So Winnie, some of the challenges that women experience from what Lattice does and the challenges you've seen in the market, specifically to women.
Thank you for that question. And it was brought up in the previous 2 panels. And it's a problem that we see in our work every day. So we are big in agriculture and also very big in aquaculture, which is basically fish farming. So what we have seen time and time again is that the big needle mover is actually knowledge and understanding. And people said, how come over time you see the same people coming for the same training and the needle isn't moving? This is a good question to sit with because this is what we observe. Now, in the work we have done, particularly in the last 2 years, we said, let's pivot this model a bit. Let's not train and go. Let's instead do an incubation. Let's create an ecosystem that gives people all the inputs they need, the financial access that they need, and then we work with them through a process of knowledge enhancement so that not only do we train you, But through a series of events, we give you a support group. We've heard it said that it's lonely at the top. It's even lonelier in business or farming. So when you put me in a group of people who are facing my same challenges, the learning lands in a different way. And then I can ask Gloria, I'm struggling with managing my envelopes. I keep crossing, my child gets sick. So then Gloria will tell me this is how I handled it. And suddenly the learning is at a different level. So we've seen the transition from training to capacity building through incubation activities actually works. And there's an inbuilt mentoring attached to it. And we've seen dramatic changes. Women who before were struggling to make ends meet in a farming enterprise are able to see that if they forward integrate to trade, they make more money. So that's one big thing that we've learned. The second big thing is formalization. When you don't have a license, when you have no license, when you don't have a way of protecting yourself and your business because it's not formal, you end up being exposed to harassment. You end up not being able to access financial services. So that journey towards formalization is a key barrier that we also address. And then, of course, security. Women are vulnerable. You cross the border. You saw the trucks at the beginning. What happens if people try to rough you up? Or what happens if they try to steal from you as a woman that you're frail? So putting people in groups and educating them also reduces that barrier. I'll stop there because there are many. Yeah.
Thank you, Winnie. So Gloria, just a follow up on that. Trademark and trade policy, I know it's part of what the roles you played. So what are the market changes you're seeing in terms of trade policies, trade activities that is enabling women in this space and also trying to solve some of the problems that Winnie has alluded to?
Thanks, Elizabeth. So just picking up on that point of informality, a lot of our businesses are trading informally and structured. So basically the trade policy, people don't even know they exist. So that transition to formalization is very important because that's one of the ways we'll get to the table where policies are being discussed. But that said, I think Africa is in a good space now. We have the Africa Free Continental Trade Area Agreement, and that's building up on the East Africa Community Treaty. So we've already come together as countries and said, let's work together. So under the ESC, for example, there's what they call the Simplified Trading Regime. This regime makes it easier for any business owner, whether they're female or male, trading below $2,000 worth of goods or services to trade across ESC. So these are frameworks that are available and they can support women to trade more, and we are seeing more and more women coming into this space. The issue is information. Back to information. People just do not know. They do not know this framework exists. They don't know how it works. So part of my job is really is to make that information known and then encourage women to take advantage of these regimes. But they do exist. Even revenue authorities are getting more and more, just like the banks are getting more closer to their customers in courts. So there's opportunities to really boost women's participation and take advantage of the opportunities of trade.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. So I want to share an experience I had back maybe 18 years ago when equity was just beginning to be a factor. Remember, equity was an overnight success that had taken 12 years to create. So we went to see what this equity phenomenon was, and we decided to go to a branch in Thika. And it was very interesting because unlike all the other banks that we knew up to that time, when you walk into an equity banking hall, you're instantly greeted by somebody whose role was to greet and make customers feel at home. So even if you've never banked before, you walk into an equity bank, they won't allow you to feel, lost or uncertain. I know it sounds alien because now banks are very accessible, but 18 years ago, they were not. So you walk into equity, maybe you have gumboots, maybe you've got a bag. The guy will come, greet you, tell you where to put your bag, make you feel at home, and direct you where you need to go. So even as policies are changed and things are made more accessible, I think what will make the difference for our women is if we bring things down to that level. And I know some of the initiatives you're working on deliver that. How do we handhold women to make them comfortable in spaces that are traditionally male-dominated, where your voice actually doesn't normally have space. And this is where things like associations, like women's groups, like mentorships, it comes in. So as policies become more accessible and create more space, we need programs that allow women to feel at home in traditionally inhospitable places.
Okay. That's triggered something.
Yes,
Yeah,
Gloria,
because
as we
when
go
you
into
talked
Q&A.
about, it reminded me of something. We have what we call panya routes. Panya routes are the illegal routes at borders. Guess who's in the panya routes? Women. They're the ones passing the back door to trade, and yet they have a right to use the border crossing. Again, it comes back to information. And then because you're in the panya route, you meet the security guard, he'll ask for sexual favors, the cycle continues. So we need to bring the confidence and the trust that the system actually works and it works in their favor. Yeah.
Okay. So as I open up the floor to Q&A, maybe she mentioned some of the initiatives you guys are doing. Do you want to mention at least one of the initiatives that the traders can tap into?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to raise the issue that hasn't come up this morning, which is about care work. Trademark did a research and found that out of the 11 hours that women spend trading, they spend 3 hours doing care work. So taking care of children or elderly persons or sick people. So it means they cannot compete with their male counterparts. If you lose 3 hours of your day, it's not lose, sorry, that's a wrong word. But if you have to spend 3 hours of your day doing this work, you can't compete. So one of the solutions we're looking at is digital. Just finding a way for this woman in the comfort of her home to be able to get a market. So again, it takes trust, it takes confidence, but COVID did that for us because when COVID came, people had no choice but to go digital. So people have built up on that. So we have a platform called Isoko. It's amongst other platforms out here, but the idea is to help you reach your market, sell your product, reach a service provider from the comfort of your phone. And that's really one of the things we're doing to bridge that gap, not just from a perspective of trade, but also from care, from the care work angle. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So questions?
Okay, thank you very much for that highlight. Mine goes to Gloria. Gloria Amostin from Busia County. And Busia County is a border county, we all know. And we appreciate the work you are doing there. We have partnered. You build as a Soko poster. That is a trademark. We are very much appreciative. My concern is about the issue of ESC. That is a cross-border trading. In Busia County, the other side, that is in Uganda, the ease of doing business sometimes is very hard. Our traders are being harassed when crossing the other side. But when the Ugandans cross to Kenya, they are given a very humble opportunity to trade. What are some of the initiatives the Trademark Africa is doing to ease that? Because this East African Community Treaty, it only works in Kenya, but when it goes to Uganda, ni kitu ingine ngumu sana. So help us to understand the role Trademark is doing. Thank you very much.
Just a follow-up question to Gloria on the same issue of the border crossings. I come from Turkana. We border 3 countries, Ethiopia, Uganda, and South Sudan. And most of the trademark activities are concentrated around traditional crossing points of Isibania, Namanga, and Busia. So we have 6 crossing border points, and I want to ask that you tailor-make some programs for the women traders in that area.
Yeah, thanks. So to Austin's question, two things. We work both with the public and private sector. So for private sector, it's around really raising awareness. What are your rights as a trader? But also, what is your responsibility as a trader? You have to be doing the right thing. If you do the wrong thing, obviously you cross the regulator or the security personnel. But from the public sector, there's what they call the border management committees. These are really supposed to help address those issues. There should be fair treatment from both sides of the border. So one of the things we do is work with those committees, enable them to do what they're supposed to do, which is hear what the problems are and find some resolution to ease crossing across the borders. So that's, of course, work in progress. A lot of the progress we've seen is around individuals. So we're trying to move that to institutions. So if a border manager is really progressive and open, that border will flourish. But we know that, of course, customs people are changed, immigration are moved around. So we're trying to move to a point where it's an institutional practice. It's the way business is done. So you don't find borders, I mean, as you're saying, traders crossing, and then they're being arrested, stopped by the revenue authorities and things like that. So it's a continuous process. And we see that also going to happen at the regional level as well, because when you start crossing to other territories beyond the EAC, that can only get more complex. To James's question, yes, we acknowledge that is something to pick up, but we did do some work at Nadapal, which I hope we'll be able to pick up in the years to come. But a really good point. We tend to focus on the traditional borders, yet there's so much other opportunity. So it's a good point to take home. But I wanted to pick something, Elizabeth, as we close, on logistics. So when I had the young people talk earlier, I know she kind of talked about getting things from Turkey and things like that. So logistics is a big challenge in this region. The cost of moving a commodity from one location to another is crazy. We're talking about air travel. It costs you $400 to fly to Kigali. So those are the things we are trying to work with the EAC as well to see how do you reduce the costs? Because we have to go to markets beyond our own countries, but it has to be favorable. So digital is a solution to that in some ways, but there's also still quite a bit of work to be done in terms of the cost of logistics, because that's really one of the areas that especially the young people can get into, trading across borders.